Hello, everybody. I'm Roxanna Bossen, and I'm going to read from selections from one of my all-time favorite authors, whom I also learned something about when I was researching her. Her name is spelled Helene, so for as long as I've known about her books, I've called her Helene. Turns out it's pronounced Helene. I found that out because she was very sensitive about people mispronouncing her name. And I always thought it was the last name, which is Hanff, Hanff, which people might, mispronounce. I found out people do that just fine. It's Helene. So when I'm talking about her, if I say Helene, which is what's been in my head for at least 20 years, please excuse me. Helene Hanff was born in Philadelphia on April 15, 1916, to Miriam and Arthur Hanff. Her father had been a performer, but became a shirt salesman to provide for his family. He always loved the theater and would swap shirts for unsold theater tickets with the box office ticket salesman. Her family could not fund an expensive college education, but she won a scholarship to attend Temple University. Unfortunately, after the first year, the money dried up and the scholarships were given only to those graduating seniors. She decided to educate herself and spent many hours in the library researching people who wrote textbooks that she might be interested in. She found a textbook by Sir Arthur Quiller Couch, King Edward VII, professor of English literature in the University of Cambridge, entitled On the Art of Writing. And that led to her lifelong love of British classical literature and the fierce desire to go to London. Her book, Q's Legacy, is based on that. Her literary career saw her move from unproduced playwright to writer of some of the earliest TV dramas. She wrote a memoir in 1961 called Underfoot in Show Business that describes her experiences. She never married, although there was evidence that she had romantic relationships. She died April 9th, 1977, 6 days before her 81st birthday. The books that you may have heard of, she also, by the way, wrote books for children that were American history books. I'd like to see some of them. They sound interesting. Her major books are Underfoot in Show Business, which was published in 1962, 84 Charing Cross Road, which was written and published in 1970, The Duchess of Bloomsbury Street, 1973, Apple of My Eye, which is about her adopted lifelong city, New York, which was 1977, Q's Legacy, 1985, and Letter from New York, which was 1992, which was a series of talks that she gave on the BBC about her city of New York. Some of them were fascinating. They also made a movie of 84 Charing Cross Road, which is where I first discovered the book. It starred Anne Bancroft as her. The book salesman from London was played by Anthony Hopkins. Dame Judi Dench was the wife of the bookseller from London. So it had some pretty good cast, and it's actually available if you want to ever see it. It's available, and I just researched this a few minutes ago, on YouTube Premium, or YouTube where you pay from $3.99 to watch it, or Google Play, Fandango, and Amazon Prime, all of which I believe will be from $3.99 on. I actually have a DVD of it, but I don't have a DVD player anymore, so it's not doing much good. The first thing that I'd like to read from you is not her most famous, but I find it explains her style of writing, which changes in each book as she is writing for different audiences. But this is a footnote to chapter 1 of Underfoot in Show Business. It's a fashion in the theater, if not a positive requirement, to make fun of the theater guild. Just mention the guild at Sardi's and everybody dies laughing. This comes as a shock to outsiders, since the theater guild has been preeminent among Broadway producers for almost half a century. Remember, this is 1961. In its heyday, it maintained uniquely high standards, and its attitude toward the theater was singularly uncommercial. Then what's so funny? Consider the saga of the Bureau of New Plays and its fellowships. It's the sort of high-minded fiasco that could only have happened to the Theater Guild. At the end of its first year, the Bureau of New Plays awarded 2 fellowships. It gave the winners $1,500 each and sent them on their way. During the second year, when I was one of the winners, the Theater Guild stepped in. "You're doing this all wrong," said the Theater Guild to the Bureau of New Plays. "It's a very bad thing to give young writers $1,500 and let them go wandering off on their own. Playwrights need training. So this year," finished the Guild, "you give them the money and we'll give them the training." Having launched this lofty and commendable project, the Theater Guild rounded up 10 promising young playwrights in addition to the 2 fellowship winners, and enrolled all 12 of us in a seminar to be conducted by the Guild. Accordingly, on a mild September afternoon, we gathered for the first time in the Theater Guild boardroom, where we were welcomed by Terry Helburn and Lawrence Langner, the Guild's co-producers. It was the usual boardroom, vast and quiet, with wide windows at one end and the long, polished board table in the center. From massive frames all around the walls, famous faces looked down at us. And there we sat, still, as Terry looked into our faces and told us the future of the theater lay with us. Lawrence Langler outlined the seminar. We were to meet in the boardroom 3 afternoons a week to be taught by producer Cheryl Crawford, director Lee Strasberg, and play reader John Gassner. Occasionally, Terry or Lawrence would take a class, and from time to time, famous actors, playwrights, directors, and designers would be brought in as guest lecturers. Thus began the education of 12 young playwrights, an intensive professional training the luckless winners of the previous fellowships might well have envied. We attended morning rehearsals and afternoon classes, and in the evening we were given tickets to all the Broadway plays. Nothing was overlooked, no time or trouble spared. And in March, when the seminar ended, everybody agreed it had been a great success. There was, to be sure, one small hitch. We had been sent to rehearsals of our mentors' plays in order to watch a really good play produced. 4 of these plays were produced by the Guild. All 4 flopped. But that's a detail. The project must be judged by the final result. What became of the 12 future playwrights so carefully educated? One, Danny Taradish, my co-fellowship winner, is a top-flight screenwriter with an Academy Award to his credit. A second, John Crosby, is a famous newspaper columnist. Number 3 is now a physician. Number 4 is a short story writer. Number 5 manages a TV theater. Numbers 6 and 7 are English professors. Numbers 8 and 9 are television writers. Numbers 10 and 11 are screenwriters. And number 12 lives on his income and doesn't seem to do much of anything. Sorry, turning the page. The Theater Guild, convinced that the fledgling playwrights needed training as well as money, exhausted itself training the 12 of us, and not one of the 12 ever became a playwright. The 2 fellowship winners who the year before had been given their $1,500 and sent wandering off on their own were Tennessee Williams and Arthur Miller. That sort of hooked me. And so I started reading her books, the first of which is what made her famous. If you can call it famous, they call her a cult writer because her books are very small. They are too big to be articles in magazines, but too small to be a real book. This is how they are, and they're all about the same size. This one is 84 Charing Cross Road. And it is the one that was made into the movie and a TV series and a Broadway show and a London show. The Broadway show didn't make it, but the London show did. So it starts off 14 East 95th Street, New York City, October 5th, 1949. So the Second World War had ended. Britain, however, was still under a lot of stresses because they were still having rationed food and things like that, even though the war had been over for several years. To Marks and Company, 84 Charing Cross Road, London, WC2, England. Gentlemen, your ad in the Saturday Review of Literature says you specialize in out-of-print books. The phrase antiquarian booksellers scares me somewhat, since I equate antique with expensive. I am a poor writer with an antiquarian taste in books, and all the things I want are impossible to get over here, except in very expensive rare editions or in Barnes & Noble's grimy, marked-up schoolboy copies. I enclose a list of my most pressing problems. If you have clean secondhand copies of any of the books on the list for no more than $5 each, would you please consider this a purchase order and send them to me? Very truly yours, Helene Humph, Miss Helene Humph. From Marks and Company, 25th of October, 1949, to Miss Helene Humph. Dear Madam, in reply to your letter of October 5th, we have managed to clear up 2/3 of your problems. The 3 Hazlitt essays you want are in the None Such Press edition of his selected essays, and the Stevenson is found also, and we've sent that book. We are sending nice copies of both these by book post, and we trust they will arrive safely in due course, and that you will be pleased with them. Our invoice is enclosed with the books. The Leigh Hunt essays are not going to be so easy, but we will see if we can find an attractive volume with them all in. We haven't the Latin Bible you describe, but we do have a Latin New Testament, also a Greek New Testament, ordinary modern editions in cloth binding. Would you like these? Yours faithfully, F.P.D. for Marks and Company. November 3rd, 1949, to Marks and Company. Gentlemen, the books arrived safely. The Stevenson is so fine it embarrasses my orange crate bookshelves. I'm almost afraid to handle such soft vellum and heavy cream-colored pages, being used to the dead white paper and stiff cardboardy covers of American books, I never knew a book could be such a joy to the touch. A Britisher whose girl lives upstairs translated the pounds for me and says I owe you $5.30 for the 2 books. I hope he got it right. I enclosed a $5 bill and a single. Please use the 70 cents toward the price of the New Testaments, both of which I want. Will you please translate your prices hereafter? I don't add too well in plain American. I haven't a prayer of ever mastering bilingual arithmetic. Yours, Helene Humph. I hope madam doesn't mean over there what it means here. The 9th of November, 1949. Dear Miss Humph, your $6 arrived safely, but we should feel very much easier if you would send your remittances by postal money order in the future, as this would be quite a bit safer for you than entrusting dollar bills into the mails. We are very happy you like the Stevensons so much. We have sent off the New Testaments with an invoice listing the amount due in both pounds and dollars, and we hope you'll be pleased with them. Yours faithfully, FPD. November 18th, 1949. All capital letters. What kind of a Black Protestant Bible is this? Kindly inform the Church of England that they have loused up the most beautiful prose ever written. Whoever told them to tinker with the Vulgate Latin? They'll burn for it. You mark my words. It's nothing to me. I'm Jewish myself. But I have a Catholic sister-in-law, a Methodist sister-in-law, a whole raft of Presbyterian cousins through my great-uncle Abraham, who converted, and an aunt who's a Christian Science healer. And I like to think none of them would countenance this Anglican Latin Bible if they knew it existed. As it happens, they don't know Latin existed. Well, the hell with it. I've been using my Latin teacher's Vulgate, which I imagine I'll do. I just won't give it back till you find me one of my own. I enclose $4 to cover the $3.88 due you. Buy yourself a cup of coffee with the 12 cents. There's no post office near here, and I am not running all the way down to Rockefeller Plaza to stand in line for a $3.88 money order. If I wait till I get down there for something else, I won't have the $3.88 anymore. I have implicit faith in the U.S. mails and His Majesty's Postal Service. Have you got a copy of Landor's Imaginary Conversations? I think there are several volumes. The one I want is the one with the Greek conversations. If it contains a dialogue between Aesop and Rhodope, that'll be the volume I want. November 26th. Dear Miss Humph, your $4 arrived safely and we have credited the 12 cents to your account. We happen to have in stock Volume 2 of the Works and Life of Walter Savage Landor, which contained the Greek dialogues, including the one you mentioned in your letter, as well as the Roman dialogues. It is an old edition, published in 1876, not very handsome, but well-bound and a good, clean copy. And we are sending it off to you today with invoice enclosed. I am sorry we made the mistake with the Latin Bible, and we'll try to find a Vulgate for you. Not forgetting Lee Hunt, yours faithfully, FPD. Sir, this is December 8th, 1949. Savage Landor arrived safely and promptly fell open to a Roman dialogue where 2 cities had just been destroyed by war, and everybody was being crucified and begging passing Roman soldiers to run them through and end the agony. It'll be a relief to turn to Aesop and Rhodope when all you have to worry about is a famine. I do love secondhand books that open to page some previous owner read often. The day Hazlitt came, he opened to, "I hate to read new books," and I hollered "comrade" to whoever owned it before me. I enclose $1, which Brian, British boyfriend of Kay upstairs, says will cover the pounds I owe you. You forgot to translate it. Now then, Brian told me you are all rationed. Remember, this is now 1949. You are all rationed to 2 ounces of meat per family per week and 1 egg per person per month. I am simply appalled. He had a catalog from a British firm here which flies food from Denmark to his mother. So I am sending a small Christmas present to Marx and Company. I hope there'll be enough to go around. He says Charing Cross Road bookshops are all quite small. I'm sending it care of you, FPD, whoever you are. Noel, Helene Hanf. December 9th, 1949, same day. FPD, crisis. I sent that package off. The chief item in it was a 6-pound ham. I figured you could take it to a butcher and get it sliced up so everybody would have some to take home. But I just noticed on your last invoice, it says B. Marks, M. Cohen, props. Are they kosher? I could rush a tongue over. Helene. December 20th, 49. Dear Miss Hanf, just a note to let you know that your gift parcel arrived safely today and the contents have been shared out between the staff. Mr. Marks and Mr. Cohen insisted that we divide it up among ourselves and not include our bosses. I should just like to add that everything in the parcel was something that we either never see or can only get through the black market. It was extremely kind and generous of you to think of us in this way, and we are all extremely grateful. We all wish to express our thanks and send our greetings and best wishes for 1950. Yours faithfully, Frank Dole. And I know it's pronounced Dole because somewhere else I read that it rhymes with Noel, so it's Dole. And that was the first time she saw his name. I'm skipping many years, and we are now in the 3rd of May, 1957. Dear Helene, prepare yourself for a shock. All 3 of the books you requested in your last letter are on the way to you and should arrive in a week or so. Don't ask how we managed it. It's just part of the Marks service. Our bill is enclosed herewith, showing a balance due of $5. 2 of your friends dropped in to see us a few days ago, and now I've forgotten their name. A young married couple and very charming. Unfortunately, they only had time to stop and smoke a cigarette as they were off again on their travels next morning. We seem to have had more American visitors than ever this year, including hundreds of lawyers who march around with a big card pinned to their clothes, all stating their hometown and name. They all seem to be enjoying their trip, so you will have to manage it next year with best wishes from us all, Frank. And then a postcard mailed from Stratford upon Avon. You might have warned us. We walked into your bookstore and said we were friends of yours and were nearly mobbed. Your Frank wanted to take us home for the weekend. Mr. Marks came out from the back of the store just to shake hands with friends of Miss Hanf. And everybody in the place wanted to wine and dine us. We barely got out alive. Thought you'd like to see the house where your sweet William was born. On to Paris, then Copenhagen, home on the 23rd. Love, Ginny and Ed. Okay, this is May 8th, 1960. Monsieur de Tocqueville's compliments, and he begs to announce his safe arrival in America. He sits around looking smug because everything he said was true, especially about lawyers running the country. I belong to a Democratic club. There were 14 men over there the other night, 11 of them lawyers. Came home and read a couple of newspaper stories about the presidential hopefuls: Stevenson, Humphrey, Kennedy, Stassen, Nixon, all lawyers except Humphrey. I enclosed $3. It's a beautiful book, and you can't even call it secondhand. The pages aren't cut. Did I tell you I finally found the perfect page cutter? It's a pearl-handled fruit knife. My mother left me a dozen of them. I keep one in the pencil cup on my desk. Maybe I go with the wrong kind of people, but I'm not just likely to have 12 guests all sitting around simultaneously eating fruit. Sorry. Then the 8th of January, 1969, to Miss H. Hanf. Dear Miss, I have just come across the letter you wrote to Mr. Doel on the 30th of September last, and it is with great regret that I have to tell you he passed away on Sunday, the 22nd of December. The funeral took place last week on Wednesday, the 1st of January. He was rushed to hospital on the 15th of December and operated on at once for a ruptured appendix. Unfortunately, peritonitis set in and he died 7 days later. He had been with the firm for over 40 years, and naturally, it comes as a great shock to Mr. Cohen, particularly coming so soon after the death of Mr. Marks. Do you still wish us to try to obtain the Austins for you? Yours faithfully, from Marks and Company, Joan Todd, Secretary. Undated, postmarked January 20th, 1969. Dear Helene, thank you for your very kind letter. Nothing about it at all offends me. I only wish that you had met Frank and known him personally. He was the most well-adjusted person with a marvelous sense of humor. And now I realize such a modest person, as I have had letters from all over to pay him tribute. And so many people in the book trade say he was so knowledgeable and imparted his knowledge with kindness to all and sundry. If you wish, I could send them to you. At times, I don't mind telling you I was very jealous of you, as Frank so enjoyed your letters, and they, or some, were so like his sense of humor. Also, I envied your writing ability. Frankie and I were very much opposites. He's so kind and gentle, and me with my Irish background always fighting for my rights. I miss him so. Life was interesting. He always explaining and trying to teach me something of books. My girls are wonderful. I am lucky. I suppose so many like me are all alone. Please excuse my scrawl. With love, Nora. I hope someday you will come and visit us. The girls would love to meet you. April 11th, 1969. Dear Catherine, I take time out from house cleaning my bookshelves and sitting on the rug surrounded by books in every direction. I scrawl you a bon voyage. I hope you and Brian have a ball in London. He said to me, would you go with us if you had the fare? And I nearly wept. But I don't know. Maybe it's just as well I never got there. I dreamed about it for so many years. I used to go to English movies just to look at the streets. I remember years ago, a guy I knew told me that people going to England find exactly what they're looking for. I said, I'd go looking for the England of English literature. And he nodded and said, it's there. Maybe it is, and maybe it isn't. Looking around the rug, it's one thing's for sure. It's here. The blessed man who sold me all my books died a few months ago, and Mr. Marks, who owned the shop, is dead. But Marks and Company is still there. If you happen to pass by 84 Charing Cross Road, kiss it for me. I owe it so much. I have to tell you, when I went to England, I went to Charing Cross Road and I saw 84. It is no longer, although there are still antiquarian booksellers right there, it is not one. But there is a plaque on the door, or the door jamb area, that says this was the bookstore in the book. The Duchess of Bloomsbury Street, which she wrote after she finally made it, which she did, too late, of course, to meet Frank, but she did meet her, the wife and daughter and everything else. It also is a wonderful book, and it's written with wonderful memories. So if you want a very easy, quick, 2 hours or less if you go straight through, I reread them just because I find them charming. And every so often I come across something that I hadn't really processed before, and it's leading me to new books to read and things like that. So it's a worthwhile diversion, I think. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. I have several of the books if anybody wants to borrow them at some time. So. I don't know how to do it, so I'm going to let you do it.
You got it?
I got this, yeah. Whoops. It's got my hearing aid. There we go.
Good.
Thanks. Thank you.
Teamwork. Good teamwork.
It is good. Was that okay?